There is a law that governs everything. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand belief. It simply is. It breathes inside every atom, every breath, every thought you've ever had. You live inside it. You move through it. You create with it, whether you know it or not. And the law is this. The less resistance in your field, the faster reality takes shape. Not the more effort, not the more desire, not the harder you grind. The less resistance. Pause for a moment. Let that sink in. You've been taught that success comes from complexity. That creation is a mountain you must climb. That manifestation requires struggle, focus, sweat, control. But the universe laughs softly at that idea. Because creation isn't about control. It's about coherence. To understand it, we step into the mind of a quiet revolutionary, physicist David Bohm. He proposed something radical. That reality doesn't begin with what we see. It unfolds from something deeper, a hidden, unified field of potential. He called it the implicate order, the invisible architecture beneath existence. From this field, everything arises. Every possibility already exists, waiting to be tuned into, not hunted for. Imagine it. Every version of your life already written into the field, not as fantasy, but as uncollapsed probability. You don't attract your future. You select it. And that selection doesn't come from wanting. It comes from alignment. That's where Neville Goddard enters the story. He said, assumption hardens into fact, not effort, not begging the universe, but assumption, the quiet, embodied knowing that it is already done. And what is assumption really? It's emotional clarity. It's vibrational simplicity. It's the moment when mind and feeling merge into one single tone. Clear, unwavering, precise. Now pause again. Because here's the paradox. You've been conditioned to do your way to creation. To hustle, affirm, fix, and repeat until something moves. But in the quantum model, noise is resistance. And resistance blocks resonance. Reality doesn't respond to what you say. It responds to what you vibrate. Every time you doubt, overthink, or force, you send mixed signals into the field. And the field, perfect mirror that it is, reflects confusion back to you. Desire isn't the problem. It's desire fused with doubt that distorts the signal. That's why some people manifest with ease, not because they're lucky, but because they're simple, unentangled. They have released the how. They've surrendered the timeline. They've chosen, and then become, the frequency of what they desire. Just like a seed doesn't strain to become a tree. It carries the blueprint in silence. And when the environment is right, sun, soil, stillness, it grows. Not from force, from expression. The same law applies to you. Your desire is the seed. Your coherence is the soil. And simplicity, that quiet certainty, is the sunlight that lets it bloom. Because in the architecture of creation, simplicity is not weakness. It's precision. This is the beginning of the simplicity principle. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. You don't build your future. You tune into it. Just like a radio doesn't create the song. It finds the frequency where the song already exists. That's the secret most miss. You're not trying to make something happen. You're learning to match the vibration of what already is. This is the field of potential, an invisible ocean of probabilities, where every outcome already breathes, silently waiting for your signal. You don't swim to it. You resonate with it. Every thought, every emotion, is a note in the grand symphony of existence. When your tone is clear, the field sings back. But when it's tangled in doubt, fear, control, the music fades into static. This is why simplicity is not spiritual minimalism. It's vibrational accuracy. The more you purify your signal, the faster reality crystallizes around it. Let's make this real. You say, I want abundance. But your field vibrates urgency. You say, I want love. But your energy hums with unworthiness. You ask for clarity, while overanalyzing every sign that appears. And so, the universe waits. Not because it denies you, because it mirrors you. Perfectly, precisely, patiently. The delay isn't punishment. It's calibration. The field can only collapse when the wave is stable. And stability lives inside simplicity. Here's the paradox. The universe is instant, but you are often noisy. Every layer of doubt, every what if, is static in your transmission. And static delays coherence. Imagine two tuning forks. When one vibrates purely, the other begins to hum in harmony. But if the first fork is cracked, its sound distorts. The second fork won't respond. The universe is your second fork. It doesn't respond to words. It responds to tone. When your tone is clean, coherent, whole, reality moves fast. Science calls it the collapse of the wave function. The moment potential becomes physical, not by chance, but by coherence. Observation filtered through stability. Intention filtered through alignment. Emotion filtered through simplicity. Because your inner field, your heart, your mind, your energy, acts as a stabilizer. It anchors one outcome into visibility. The faster your coherence, the faster the collapse. The simpler the signal, the sooner it becomes real. That's why people who try less often receive more. Not because they're lazy, but because they're aligned. They stopped chasing. They started being. They surrendered control, the how, the when, the fear of delay. And in that surrender, the current of reality carried them forward effortlessly. Simplicity is not passivity. It's mastery. It's the moment the river realizes it doesn't need to push to flow. You were never meant to force life into place. You were meant to allow it into form. When your mind grows quiet, your field becomes precise. And when your field is precise, reality responds instantly. So ask yourself, what are you broadcasting right now? Clarity or confusion? Trust or tension? Because every second, the field is listening. And the clearer your song, the faster the universe plays it back to you. Everything changes when you look. That's not poetry. That's physics. At the smallest scale of reality, a particle exists everywhere until you observe it. And in that instant, it chooses. It becomes. The universe is not built of things. It's built of observation, of attention, of awareness collapsing potential into form. This is the heart of the mystery. The observer is the creator. In the famous double-slit experiment, scientists expected particles to behave predictably, but they didn't. They behaved like waves. Pure possibility. Until someone looked. The moment observation entered, the wave collapsed into a single point of reality. Nothing existed as real until consciousness participated. That's not superstition. That's the quantum foundation of creation itself. But here's the trap. Most people believe they're observing their reality. They're not. They're reacting to it. Reaction is noise. Observation is silence. Reaction is born of fear. Observation is born of presence. When you're constantly checking, doubting, analyzing, is it working? Where's my sign? Why hasn't it happened yet? You're not observing. You're surveilling. And surveillance carries the vibration of mistrust. True observation doesn't stare. It feels. It knows. It holds the frequency of completion without needing evidence. Because in the quantum field, the act of awareness is the act of creation. You don't wait to see it to believe. You believe. And that's what allows you to see. Let's go deeper. Physicist John Wheeler, a student of Einstein, took this idea further with the delayed choice experiment. He discovered that observation doesn't just shape the future. It can rewrite the past. Reality organizes itself retroactively to align with your current state of consciousness. Read that again. Your now can reshape your then, which means your past isn't fixed. Your future isn't distant. And your power isn't linear. It's quantum. Every moment of pure awareness sends a signal through time, collapsing, rewriting, rearranging the lattice of possibilities. So when you shift your state of being, you shift the entire field, past, present, and future, to match your new vibration. This is why effort alone fails. Because effort without coherence is like shouting over static. You can't force the wave to collapse. You become the stillness that invites it. That's why simplicity is sacred. Because simplicity is the still lake, where the reflection appears effortlessly. No noise, no pushing, just resonance. Look around you. Everything you see was once invisible, once potential, once just vibration. It appeared because somewhere, someone believed without needing proof. You are the same mechanism. Every cell in your body is a sensor of possibility, a transmitter of consciousness, a participant in the unfolding of reality. The question is not, does observation create the world? The question is, what frequency of observer are you being? Because the universe doesn't give you what you demand. It mirrors what you embody. When your observation is stable, your reality is stable. When your awareness is split, your world fractures into confusion. So stop watching reality like a skeptic. Start seeing it like a creator. Because when you do, the wave becomes your world. The most seductive trap in the human journey is not fear, it's effort. Because effort feels safe. It feels productive. It feels like progress. But often, it's just motion without movement. You wake up with a dream. You visualize. You meditate. You affirm. And for a while, you feel powerful. Then the silence arrives. Nothing happens. The outer world stays still. So you push harder. You double your routines. You add more affirmations. You demand signs. You grind your spirit into exhaustion. That's the loop. The effort loop. A cycle disguised as dedication. A cage built from spiritual noise. The more you do, the emptier it feels. Because underneath all that movement is one quiet belief whispering, maybe I'm not enough yet. That whisper creates resistance. And resistance slows the collapse of reality. See, effort has its place in the physical world. You lift a weight, you build strength. You study, you learn. You take action, you progress. But in the quantum world, effort doesn't move energy. Frequency does. Energy doesn't respond to how hard you try. It responds to how aligned you are. When your vibration is clear, action flows like water. When it's tangled with fear, action becomes friction. And friction is noise. Noise blocks manifestation. The universe doesn't reward the one who hustles hardest. It responds to the one who trusts deepest. That's why the simplicity principle feels so unnatural at first. You've been trained to chase, to prove, to perform, to earn your worth through exhaustion. But simplicity doesn't chase. It chooses. Let's bring it down to the ground. Imagine a lion in the tall grass. It doesn't run after every antelope. It waits. It watches. Its muscles are still, but its focus is absolute. And when the moment is right, it moves once. Precise. Effortless. Certain. That's power. That's alignment. Now imagine your manifestations the same way. When you scatter your energy in 1,000 directions, you weaken the field. When you center it into one clear state of being, you amplify it like a laser. Effort that emerges from clarity is creative. Effort that emerges from fear is destructive. The loop is sneaky. It hides behind noble words. Discipline, consistency, manifestation work. But its root is doubt. Because as long as you're doing, you don't have to feel. You don't have to face the stillness, where the real creation happens. That stillness terrifies the ego. Because in stillness, it loses control. But here's the paradox. Stillness isn't stagnation. It's synchronization. It's the moment the orchestra quiets, so the new melody can begin. If you can sit inside that silence, without trying to fix or force, the field starts rearranging itself. Slowly, precisely, invisibly, until, suddenly, everything moves at once. So how do you exit the loop? By noticing it. By catching the moment when your effort turns into fear. And then, breathing. Returning to simplicity. To clarity. To trust. Repeat this truth. I manifest through clarity, not chaos. Make it your anchor. Because the quieter your energy, the stronger your signal. And when your signal is pure, the field has no choice but to respond. The effort loop dissolves not when you do more, but when you finally stop fighting what already wants to unfold. You've understood the principle. You've seen the science. You've felt the shift. Now comes the part most never reach. Embodiment. Because simplicity is not something you learn. It's something you become. The mind wants to understand. The ego wants to control. But the field, the quantum intelligence that breathes through everything, responds only to what you are. So let's begin where all creation begins. Stillness. Close your eyes. Breathe. Notice that you don't command the breath. It happens. Effortlessly. Perfectly. That's the rhythm of the field. That's simplicity in motion. You are not outside the universe, trying to convince it to move. You are the universe, momentarily pretending to be separate. Every heartbeat, every thought, every emotion is the field speaking through you. You are both the signal and the receiver. When you drop the noise, the field becomes clear. And in that clarity, reality bends. Look at your life like a reflection on a still lake. When the surface is disturbed, the image distorts. When the water calms, the reflection returns, crisp, precise, beautiful. That's coherence. That's creation. So, stop trying to force the reflection. Become the calm. Become the stillness that allows everything to appear. Simplicity is not about doing less. It's about being more exact, more aligned, more honest in your vibration. Every day, the field reads your signal. Not your affirmations, not your goals, your state. And when your state says, I am already there, the universe rearranges itself to match. That's not magic. That's resonance. You've been taught that creation is about doing. But true creation is about remembering. Remembering that you are not chasing outcomes. You are selecting timelines. You are not waiting for signs. You are broadcasting them. You are not becoming worthy. You already are. The moment you realize that, the struggle dissolves. The chase ends. The simplicity begins. Now imagine this. You walk into a room. No words. No effort. Just presence. And people feel it. They don't know why, but something in your energy calms theirs. That's coherence. That's the frequency of simplicity embodied. Now imagine sending that same vibration, not to people, but to possibilities, timelines, outcomes. You don't force them into existence. You invite them with precision. You hold the state of course it's done, and the field, obedient and intelligent, responds. This is what the mystics meant when they said, be still and know. Not be passive, but be aligned. Because when your inner world becomes coherent, your outer world has no choice but to follow. That's why the simplicity principle isn't philosophy. It's physics. It's the law behind every miracle. You are not here to hustle reality into submission. You are here to remember that it was always listening. So let this be your final truth. The universe is not testing you. It's tuning to you. And the clearer your frequency, the faster the alignment. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to fight to receive. You only need to be still, simple, certain. Because when you become the frequency, reality can finally find you.